No Stop Connection Podcast Network fans, welcome to episode 4 of Ryan and JT's excellent wrestling adventure. Still in season 1 here. We are simulcast in video and audio, or on video on our YouTube channel, No Stop Connection, audio on all podcast applications by searching No Stop Connection as well. And this is a program, Ryan, where you and I live watch some wrestling with our buddies. Just got to talk about it, try and stick to things that are under an hour. And for season 1, we're doing wrestling pilots and premieres. So we're doing another one here tonight. We're going to be talking about, but how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, Justin. Here on a Wednesday night, 10 o'clock at night. What else am I going to do?
Nothing.
No.
Besides watch all wrestling with us. Joining us tonight, if you're watching, you see him on screen. If you're listening, though, our guest is our good buddy, one of the co-hosts of New Gen on a Mission, which drops every other Tuesday in audio format on the North South Connection. And you see him sometimes on Chronoso as well. That is our good buddy, Mr. Tim Slomka. Tim, how are you?
I'm great. You guys?
Good to have you, buddy. Good to
Thanks.
see you.
Excited. Yep. Excited to do this.
All right.
This is New Gen.
It is, right? We had you pegged for this one from the start, like right out of the wheelhouse.
Probably.
Ryan, what are we watching tonight?
We are watching the debut episode of 1994 Action Zone. The first match is Bret Hart versus Owen Hart. And Owen Hart's last title defense or last chance at the WWF Championship. So that's what we got, as my strings are in my shirt and I look like a fool. Flump, why don't you let me know?
All right, this is on YouTube, so if anyone wants to watch along with us, you can, or sometimes if you just look to the sky, you may see what you're looking for. And we're going to go ahead and count down and hit play in 3, 2, 1, go. Do you guys, is this something you would have watched live?
Ooh, perhaps. I was 8, 9. Yeah, I was probably like 9, so maybe I'm in the mix. I do recall Action Zone as a kid, so I don't know if I watched the debut episode, but I do remember Bret Hart versus Owen Hart as a kid, and I believe this is Sunday. This is Sunday afternoon, correct?
Yeah, it replaced All American, which had run for a while. Obviously had a very long run. All America did, and this replaced it. So All American ran from September of '83. Until the week before this, and then replaced by Action Zone. As we see on screen is our buddy Charlie Min, who had just debuted, and he debuted in this role basically as a host. He doesn't announce or anything. He just hosts the show. And it sticks with I think the idea of what All American was, which was like having that feature match every week, and then the rest is kind of a recap of the world of WWF. But they obviously thought a lot about this, right? Because they got Vince McMahon in the booth for this premiere here with Todd Pengill, which is Todd rarely did commentary too.
This might be
Slomka can compare, yes.
This is it, I think. This is it for commentary. Yeah. I know I was pumped about this, like debuting, because they made it seem like they're going to refresh versus kind of All American had gotten stale and had the fresh matches, and this was supposed to be what, like you said, one highlight match, and then kind of highlights of the rest of the programs, the rest of the show. So
it almost feels like it was like an homage to like a Sports Center is what they were trying to do. Like I think when we see it, eventually they'll kind of be like in a studio giving live recaps of what's going on and try and make it feel like a recap type show like that.
Yeah, and obviously went with a huge match like a month after SummerSlam between Bret and Owen. So I remember this debut and being pumped for the show. And I think the first couple episodes are pretty high key matches, and then I think it dwindles down after that.
Yeah, this is a double taping in. Where is it in New York? Upstate New York, is it? What's
Poughkeepsie,
that?
Probably. It's always
not Poughkeepsie.
No, it's always Poughkeepsie in '93 and '94.
Yeah. Harrods? I don't know. But anyways, the week after this, they taped the same day.
Poughkeepsie's not too upstate. I think it's like mid-state.
Okay.
It's like, above Manhattan and White Plains, etc. But like, it's not like
this is White Plains. This is White Plains.
Okay.
So I look up. This is White Plains, and then right after this, they taped this next episode, which is HBK and Diesel versus Razor and Kid for the tag belts. So they did, like you said, they put a lot of thought into this.
Well, you could tell too. I think they're trying to make it feel more live.
Yeah.
Like Todd even said, here this afternoon. Like trying to really, because All American had a very canned feel, right? Because they were like in a studio or in like the control room where they were like Mean Gene was in the control room,
or the fake traveling when they were going to Paris. Yeah, and it's clearly green screen Paris Eiffel Tower. So
I think they were trying to give this. I think with the success of Raw being more live. I think they were trying to get away from that canned feeling and try and give it a real live feel.
Well, at the same time, I don't know when it started, but like Livewire would have been around this time too, somewhere
That's
around
a
there.
couple years later.
Yeah,
That's
but even
Actually, that
Mania,
might replace this. Actually, I don't know.
yeah. But they definitely made a lot more though. Even Mania sometimes. Like I noticed the Mania before the Rumble, that was like live from Providence Civic Center. Like so, they definitely had
Right.
trying to move those shows less of canned feeling.
Livewire replaced Mania. That's the
Okay.
exact show replaced. Action Zone, I think they just cancel it, and when they move Superstars to Sunday on USA, everything that's kind of part of the shakeup in late '96 is when they do that. The show eventually, I think, ends up being hosted by I want to say Todd and like DiBiase at some point.
This show?
Action Zone, yeah, because they like I remember one of the last ones. They're in like a studio, and the studio is getting taken down and taken apart on one of the last ones as they're going. Maybe that'll be a new season for us, Ryan. Maybe we'll do like
The last
final
one.
episodes of shows. There's some good ones out there.
When the adventure ends, that'll be our final season.
We'll do the close. So this was a big match. I mean, Bret Owen had fought at Mania, had fought at SummerSlam, but that's it, really. I mean, they would do some tag stuff around the fall, like on the house show circuit. And I think on Raw too, they did a lot of Owen and Neidhart versus Bulldog and Bret.
Yeah,
that was like the big match around the loop.
On the commentary, just said Jim Anvil Neidhart is not with Owen as he usually is. So
I think too they were trying to transition Bret to Anvil off of Owen, because if you watch that, and it's exciting to me because you're gonna be getting to all this in detail. And I remember when Scott and I did the written reviews of these Raws, you'll really see, and I'm curious when you and JP get into it, like it really seems like Owen wasn't intended to have the sustained push out of this, that it was going to be a tool to get Anvil over, because they really play it up on TV coming out of King of the Ring that Anvil is the voice in Owen's ear, and that's why Owen he was poisoned by Anvil. That's why he turned on Bret and went heel, is that Anvil was in his ear. And that holds for a little bit, and I think they finally realized, like, okay, it's Anvil. Like, you can only go so far with him, but
20 pounds overweight from what we thought he was coming at. You know.
Yeah, so I think they were trying to get to Bret Anvil, and that is a house show match they do a bunch in the fall, especially once Bulldog returns. Like,
right,
Bret and Anvil does the loop in October, November, and I think they stumbled into Backlund. So I don't know if like Bret Anvil was going to be the plan for Survivor Series originally, before like they got the Backlund thing dropped in their laps in July. So
yeah, it'd be interesting. Or like I felt like a tag. I wonder if they do it Bret and Bulldog versus Owen.
Yeah, they definitely do.
Yeah, I mean that feels like it's a tag that was kind of set up that way.
Yeah,
but I agree. I think they were going to go with Anvil as well, because they brought that up a bunch about his former tag team partner, like constantly, right over like the '94. It's like, oh, it's tag team partners, fighting each other. So they were definitely going that way.
That's another idea, Ryan. We can do hour-long shows that had a big heel or face turn. So we could do that Backlund Bret Superstars. God, you're getting to that soon, Tim. Yeah, there's so much good stuff in '94 that you and Pratt are going to hit.
Yeah.
Just to give the concept. So you guys, every other Tuesday, like I said, it's audio, but you're covering the new gen era from Survivor Series 92 to Survivor Series 97. But you don't just do pay-per-view, and you don't just do Raw. You guys are doing Superstars. So you're getting all those little storyline bits along with it. So it's really cool. It's like a super deep dive into that era.
Yeah,
So
I mean, so much happens because Raw was only, it's not 3 hours like now.
Right.
Right. So it's an hour-long Raw, and a lot of them are taped. We're starting to get that tape cycle that you do so much on Wrestling Warzone, but there's a lot still happening on Superstars. Definitely almost all the B feuds happen, but I think there's some big A feuds that happen, like you mentioned, Backlund churning as a Superstars.
And I think it's that way for a while. Like,
I was going to say, would you call Superstars like 1A? To Raw's 1.
I think they're nearing the end of 1A, for sure. In '94, I think by the end of '94, it's lagging a bit. Like '95, I think it's B. Yeah, but they still do stuff like when Chad and I are doing Warzone, like you referenced, Tim. In '96, there's still shit they show from Superstars that happened, and then especially once they go to Sunday morning Superstars, and that show becomes like refreshed in the fall of '96. They start doing other stuff as well on there, like Austin attacking Pillman and like all that stuff. Yeah, it's on Superstars. A tag tournament before WrestleMania 12 was all on Superstars.
Yeah,
so.
Ton of King of the Ring.
Ring's always on Superstars.
Yep, that's King of the Ring. You get a wrestling challenge every once in a while, King of the Ring qualifying match, but most of them are Superstars.
Yeah,
you just got a Bulldog out there.
Yeah, Bulldog looks like he hit the gym right before this.
He's
Look at
his hair down definitely looks wet. Like he just got out of the shower. But Anvil's out there too as well.
Yeah, 94 Bulldog is like a really weird look. Some would say it's bizarre.
Very bizarre. This so it's not really their last match, but it was framed as Owen's last chance at the title.
Yes.
But then they have the no holds barred match on Raw in early '95, which is really good.
Yeah,
we've talked ad nauseum about that. I'm not gonna do it again, but the idea that Brett and Owen could have really had that match at Mania 11 instead of Brett and Backlund
to save everyone.
Better. Yeah,
get his win back, even though he beat him 100 times after WrestleMania.
One of the
I will
worst.
say though, I really do prefer mid '80s Bulldog opposed to mid '90s Bulldog. I really do. I don't know why.
As a solo guy though, you don't think he
As a tag worker, I think that's
Yeah.
just where he's the best as. He's best in a tag. Look at him with Owen, in the mid '90s. I just think he doesn't really. There's something missing with the Bulldog to get to the tip top tier.
Are Brett and Owen feuding much in '96 throughout? Do you notice that? Or is it they kind of downplay that a lot?
It kind of becomes that old. It's like a rich man's Tito Martel, Sean Marty, where like they're not feuding, but they cross paths and they battle here and there. But we're kind of hitting the end of it because Brett is gone for so much in '96, so they kind of dabble a little bit like in early '96, but not much. Brett's gone. Owen plays a role with Austin and Pillman trying to goad Brett back. And then right now we're in the middle of the whole thing with Austin kind of feuding with Bulldog and Owen's kind of stuck in the middle. But we're close to the Hart Foundation, so I don't think there's much more to Brett Owen at that point.
Yeah, but it's good. I just think of it because like even '95, like think of WrestleMania, like he makes it a point of still Brett. So it's like they drag this feud out for so long, but I think by mid '95 it becomes very little, like here and there. Bring it up.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's just if they cross paths, they battle.
Right.
They're not friends. Like Owen gets involved at Rumble '95, right during Brett and Diesel. I guess if you heard any pod from me in the last year or so, you probably know my idea. But it is that at WrestleMania 11, they should have had Owen try and match Brett at 10. He fights Brett, and then has a tag title match to try and win a belt to do with Brett. And he wants to do the two things Brett didn't do is win both matches at WrestleMania 10.
Yeah.
So. But you have Brett win. Brett beats him in the opener. Have the no holds barred match from Raw or whatever. I think it was Raw. Have Brett win that, and then Owen wins the tag title still later in the night, so he at least gets the belt. So he ends up matching what Brett did the year before.
Yeah. Much better than Brett Backlund, which is not hard.
I think the expectations are so high after Survivor Series for that. And it's just like I think Brett was a little checked out because he was so de-pushed going into that Mania. And I think it just didn't have the same juice with the I Quit and the title on the line and
Piper.
Oh yeah, God, what is that?
Yeah, and I mean Backlund gets de-pushed after that too. Like that's the end of the Backlund, really.
Yeah, he pretty much ends even a little bit before that. Like he's still kind of a thing at the Rumble. I still think Diesel should have beaten Backlund for the belt at the Rumble. I think they should have let him hold it that long. I get what they were trying to do, like repeat Hogan Sheik and have Diesel squash him at MSG to kick off his big run. And I think they also thought Diesel may not be hotter than he was at Survivor Series, so why not pull the trigger? So I don't want to kill him too much because that's what we always complain about, right?
Right.
Like they saw that he was red hot and they said, screw it, let's go with it. Yeah. And I think Diesel's still pretty great until Mania 11. Like he doesn't start doing the shticky yuck babyface stuff until after that. He's still kind of like badass Diesel in December and January.
Anvil getting involved here. So my Bulldog distracts Owen, so
Brett really is excellent. He is a little boring at times, but you can't really knock him in ring. He's incredible.
One thing I've learned with Brett is like grading matches or rating matches or whatever with him, you can't commit in your head to what it's going to be until you watch the story unfold. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of guys, early in the match, oh, this is going to be a banger or this is going to build. Like with him, you have to be patient and know he's like telling a story that's going to eventually pay off somehow, right? Like now, will it get to that point every time? No, but you have to at least like give him the understanding of effort that, okay, like you can't sit here right now. Like we're how many minutes into this probably. 10 minutes into the match, 8 minutes, whatever it is, and they haven't done much, right? It's been on the mat, leg work,
A lot of selling, a lot of hard bumps.
so you could sit here and say, oh, like this has kind of been boring, but not really. Like they're kind of really setting the stage for when it's going to ramp up, and that's what a lot of these matches are.
It's all impactful transition moves. He goes up at 2 3/4 to salvage the moment the best he can. Milks the shit out of everything. You can feel the crowd coming too.
Mhm.
Well, and they've spent a lot of time in the match with using the outside interference with Anvil coming out first, then Bulldog.
Yeah.
Like that's been the focus of the match. Like, so you're probably right about they're trying to build up that feud really with Anvil and Brett here still versus Owen and Brett.
That feels like it just doesn't work.
I think it in retrospect, but I feel like people at the time in '94 was like they remember Anvil as his tag team partner. You didn't know he was that bad, but I mean the drugs and the beers and the gut doesn't help him out going forward, right? He's just not you never could get there.
He's as better as the muscle for Owen. Like he's not a top heel contender.
Yeah.
He just never was. Like, so you can still do the gimmick where he's in Owen's ear. Like that's fine, but you don't have to make him the main guy. He can just be like the mouth, like the Jimmy Hart for him. Like Bobby was in his
no
guy's
chance.
ears, but he wasn't.
Ever your world champion.
Yeah, it's just it's fine if you want to Brett beat him to pay everything off, but like I don't think they should transition off of Owen to set Anvil up as like the next guy. Like I think we're lucky Backlund popped when he did.
Like if In Your Houses were a thing here a year earlier, I could see them having an In Your House pay-per-view main event.
Or the tag that Tim mentioned. You might have got the Brett Bulldog
probably
Owen
both,
Anvil
honestly,
tag.
especially out to 2-3 months.
I wonder if that was even I haven't looked at the reservers yet, but I wonder if that was even brought up as maybe the original idea for Survivor Series.
Did they run it at house shows? Maybe they didn't like it.
They definitely ran Brett Anvil because they ran it in Providence in October. I think they were running the tag a little bit too. They did the tag on Raw. I think it's in October or November. But yeah, I mean, Tim, they definitely could have had that in mind at some point. I mean, Backlund snaps in July though, so like they might have been on that early.
Yeah,
True.
Yeah, it's hard. I just wonder. I haven't read the reservers yet. I'll get to it when we get around to it. But it'll be interesting to see like if it starts going that way and then quickly flips to Backlund.
Well, I'm curious.
Backlund's not even at SummerSlam. Like it's kind of one of those weird things. I mean, it's some of their decisions.
They really ramp him up in the fall. Like
right. Oh yeah.
It's similar to Austin in '96. It's like he gets hot in June, and then they kind of just park him until after SummerSlam, and then go all in. Yeah. And that's kind of what they do with Backlund. Like right after SummerSlam is when he starts attacking everyone on Raw and being crazy, and sends Doink packing.
That's right. I mean, same thing. I was gonna say the same thing. Stone Cold's not even on SummerSlam. Like it's just a weird decision. I kind of have right now where we are in New Gen admission. It's also weird. Diesel gets ramped up even for the IC title because he's not at Mania. Like he doesn't fight anyone Mania, and all of a sudden he jumps the queue to beat Razor for the title. It's weird sometimes.
He's in the corner of Sean, one of the biggest matches.
Yeah, he's active enough in it. That was all. Like I was at a house show before the day before that match aired. So he had already won it at the taping. The house show was Friday night. And Superstars was the match next day. They came out with the belt and they announced him as the new champion. And we were like, what nuts? So it spoiled us for Superstars, but it was a really cool moment. Like
we got to see him come out.
Yeah. He's like a new Intercontinental champion. We're like, oh my God.
No way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they really stretched themselves. This is the third segment of this match here. That's pretty
cool.
Yeah.
They were going all in on making this like a must-see show. But that's the theme we're seeing, right? Like they're really good at Ryan at these premieres. Like I feel like we're rating them all pretty strong because as premieres, they go all in. Like they don't waste a premiere.
It's kind of the idea we had just to see what. Ooh, good kick out, man.
And again, putting Vince in the booth. I'm curious how long he stays. I'm guessing he's there for the click match still, but
how long can he stand Todd Pettengill is more is the question.
Yeah, like and who does he? I mean, I'm sure he hands it off fairly quick to
P.S. Hayes, maybe
Gorilla or well, Doc definitely. I think it is Doc, Todd and Doc for a bit, but Doc doesn't come in until after Mania, I think. So I don't know if Vince does it that whole time.
Jim Ross, maybe. Or is he's in and out right now at this time.
My God. Can you imagine Jim Ross and Todd Pettengill? I can't.
I wish we had the full list.
Jim Ross right away.
Yeah, this says hosted by Todd Pettengill and Doc Hendricks. Originally, the show comprised of matches with top talent. By the end of '95, Action Zone became a Sunday morning highlight show.
At the end of '95, you said?
That's when they say it stops becoming like matches. I know that's when they go in the studio with, like I said, DiBiase and like Stan Lane or whatever in the studio, or Todd.
Killer rope bump there.
Crowd's going nuts for this too.
Like you said, with the Brett match, it built up.
Yeah.
There you go. Boom. 3 3/4.
Yeah, that was really good. I think it holds up to its rumors and legacy and thoughts.
I was watching the match more than talking to Slomka. Sorry, Timmy.
That's all right. That's all good. It's Bret Hart, man. That's my guy. So
I mean, it's the third best of this 3, right? But it's fine.
Right.
Like a Sunday morning Action Zone, still busting 3.5. You know?
Yeah. And they're building the story of I think they're definitely going that way of Anvil, Bulldog, like being more involved, because the cage match at SummerSlam, they're not as involved. Like this is clearly a setting up a tag match, like the way they positioned it at least.
So out of the 3, I would go WrestleMania, then I would go SummerSlam, and then I would go this. SummerSlam's pretty overrated. Let's be real. Classic Brett pose there to the crowd, off the top, holding the belt.
Crowd's still going nuts for him. So he won over the crowd, like you mentioned. It's kind of quiet for a little bit, but they're going nuts still with his victory.
I mean, it's a treat of a match to get, you know.
As soon as they were smart, because when they came back,
especially like you mentioned,
when they came back from the second break, Owen had a lot of urgency. He was running to the top rope, and then since then they were on cooking. The early match they were feeling themselves. In the middle of the commercial, they were getting the psychology, breaking down the limbs, telling the story to get to the end of the match. So, classic TV match.
There we go. He's calling out Backlund.
Okay.
He just said at Backlund, if you want a shot, you get a shot. So this is setting up. So it really was a transition from Owen to Backlund here. This is it. So I guess the Anvil idea or whatever was already cooked by this point.
And this was taped. I just looked at it. September 28th.
Oh, wow.
So I'm pretty sure that's the taping. Yeah, he said White Plains, right?
Yeah.
Ryan?
White Plains, New York.
Yeah, that's this. Yeah. So at least 2 months out, they thought they knew Backlund. There he is. Oh, there he is.
Charlie Min.
How long does he last?
He's not there long, I don't think.
Yeah, he would be a trivia question for sure.
Here we go. Some classic Backlund. Bret Hart is quagmired.
Oh, God. JP's guy right there. Black Backlund. 94 Backlund.
Ah, gross. 93 Backlund's worse.
Yeah,
94.
Yeah, it's rough. 94 Backlund's great.
Yeah. The craze. Once he snaps.
He hasn't snapped yet.
I know. No, that's that. No, he's crazy.
No, he didn't snap here. My bad. I'm thinking New Gen. Jeez.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. New Gen. Yeah. 93, 94. He's terrible.
So I guess I was wrong earlier because I thought right out of the gate this was like a Sports Center show. They must retool. Maybe that's that 95 change it's talking about where it retools. I know at some point it's like Todd. I think it's Todd and Doc at like a Sports Center desk.
Yep.
And they do like the
highlight,
but it's like Sports Center. They have it up in the box behind them and they're showing highlights like in a sports. So maybe that's the reboot that they do a year later. So maybe until then it is matches.
Right. Or maybe it's his first taping. Because these matches, I'm just looking, these are all from the same taping. So I wonder.
No, I think it would make sense. It must be whatever that said in Wiki, where it says, actually becomes a Sunday morning highlight show at the end of '95. So that must be when it changes.
Yeah.
How dare you guys talk to Jimmy Joe Ray's Gigolo dance?
He hasn't done it yet. I haven't seen.
Oh,
it.
He already did it. Come on,
I
man.
missed it.
You
rewind.
missed it.
Everyone, rewind. Silence.
They panned away pretty quick. I was a little disappointed. I'm not gonna lie.
Censored.
Yeah, it is Saturday afternoon, guys.
It's so funny. It's one of my favorite New Gen things that I never appreciated growing up, but
so there is a site that has all of 95 Action Zone results listed. Yeah, it looks like by the end they're doing different stuff. They have the Ross report. I remember that now. Like he would pop in.
Okay.
So I think this is when it changes. I think it's like September '95, a year in.
Oh, geez.
They start doing highlights. They get the Ross report. Can we talk? And like that's like a bunch of people giving thoughts on stuff. They show some matches. They have a couple of feature matches here and there too. But
yeah,
it looks like September. So I think we get this set up for a year and then it changes.
Okay. I remember being like, again, when they announced this, like I was so psyched. And then I remember it switching off of like, I don't know, as a dumb kid, I probably thought this was live, but like I remember when they started switching off to like highlights, I was like, man, that sucks. Like the show was cool because you got fresh matches. It felt like
Right.
I
Yeah,
already
you get a
had
year
you
of
already had Mania doing the recaps. Like you know what I mean? Like this was supposed to be fresh.
Do they have Mania and this doing recaps at the same time in '95?
Yeah, Mania is there until early '96 when Livewire replaces it.
Yeah.
So they probably transitioned for this for a few months or whatever, and then they went to the was Livewire live? Or, yeah, it was
Yeah,
a
Live
college.
Wire's live. 95 is when Stephanie Wyan shows up and they try and refresh Mania a bit because like, Savage is with Pettengill for a lot in 93 into 94, and then Stephanie Wyan shows up and she's with Todd.
The short
for
soccer
a
hair
while.
model.
Yep. But it's still very canned, right? It's still in their
Yeah,
like,
they're in that
studios
studio
den.
in the control room or whatever. I watched Mania pretty religiously. I mean,
Oh, that was my go-to Saturday morning.
as a kid, not 10 o'clock Saturday morning. Like that's what's better than that?
Yeah.
13-year-old sitting home.
Yeah.
It's the same with me. It was the same. That was my go-to show. And you got clips of it, like of everything. They kind of did a good job of it. But like when this is going to flip, you don't need another show like that. You have one already. I'm sure this was on USA too, right? Like this has to be. Yeah. So it's got two of the same shows on USA.
But this one, it does have more original matches. Mania always had a Mania exclusive, which was a match too. I think for me, Superstars aired at 11, so I think I went Mania right into Superstars on Saturday mornings.
There it is.
Challenge, I think, was 11 as well. Superstars might have moved to noon at some point, but.
And I know you guys did Wrestling Challenge, but like in Chicago, you can never get Wrestling Challenge. Like it was on at like 2 a.m. Like it was forgotten world. Like,
did you ever get Spotlight?
No, never got that.
Spotlight was wicked old.
We had that. I think it was on the Boston Fox channel because for a while we got both. We'd get Fox 25 and 64. 64 is Providence, and I'm pretty sure like 25 carried Spotlight because I got it for like a little bit, and then we lost access to Fox 25.
Well, it's pretty long for a squash match.
I was about to say these jobbers are getting like this is not right.
I would say there's people born like after 1992 right now that are like Logan is watching this. Like, what the hell is? Why you had multiple Foxes and
wasn't on Disney Plus, like completely lost.
Yeah, you're in Providence. You're in a weird area. You sniff some Boston. You have some of your own stuff, and maybe a little New York and Connecticut.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely had our own Fox, 100%. And then, like I said, so we had Fox 25. We had both for a while, definitely over the air, but even on cable. But then it split, and like Providence and like kind of North got the Boston one still, but like South didn't. So I didn't have it, but like my cousin did, like, you know, that lives like 15 minutes away. So
there you go, Timmy. You got your hip thrusted.
You did it over the jobber once too. So that was great. Oh, here we go. The feud of the year. King's or Heartbreak Hotel with the Dinks.
Yeah, this is the introduction to Pink.
Yeah, what a big moment.
What a big.
Where were you, Ryan? Where were you when this happened?
That realization of what they were doing after the first week was like one of the worst progressions ever because Doink has Dink, Lawler brings out Sleazy or whoever, and then the next week Doink brings out Wink, and it's like, oh no, like we're getting 6 of these dudes, and it's gonna be a Survivor Series.
Well, it's so funny that like the acting there by Diesel, like that's your future world champion in 2 months. Yeah, he's playing around with these midgets going between his legs, like ridiculous. Like I don't care, just ruin the King. Don't bring the like Michaels and Diesel into that. That was terrible.
So this Action Zone stopped airing in November, and then it picked up back up in January. So they had they had 2 New York tapings. They had the big match we just watched with the Hearts, and then they did the Click tag team, and then they do Yoko versus Mabel in the main event, or maybe the opening match in episode 3. Episode 4 is the King versus Bob Hawley, and episode 5 is Fatu defeating Jeff Jarrett in 4 minutes, and that's the only match. So they might go to a
maybe a Superstar. Maybe the Sports Center thing starts quicker than I thought.
Yeah, it might start quicker than I thought.
That's what I frolicked because I remember being like excited early on, and then it just switched to less featured matches. I remember. You got Tatanka with the $1 Million Corporation.
See, this is what we've talked about in the past too. Like they just didn't go all in enough on the Tatanka turn. Like he still got the same gear on. This this was right during the explosion of like the Native American casino stuff blowing up too. Like they could have easily just leaned in on, with the money that DiBiase bought him, he's buying land to sell and like have him out there in the suit more and like change his look. And I think it would have resonated more as a turn. Instead, he's just like out there doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see because right now he's in a big feud with IRS and like he's just taken out IRS took out Chief Jay Strombo. It's a pretty hot feud.
That doesn't blow off, I don't think, because
I'll be interested, to see where that goes.
They quickly just pivot to him accusing Luger of selling out, and that's in like July, and that's it.
So the first taping is in White Plains, and the second taping is at the Knickerbocker Arena, same arena as the 1992 Royal Rumble. Can you imagine going to the 1992 Royal Rumble and then 2.5 years later you're watching
the King versus Bob Holly?
Does it have attendance? Does it have attendance for that? What's the attendance? Like 5,000? That's gonna look like desolate, I'm guessing.
But it wasn't an Action Zone taping, right? What did they do as part of Superstars or
probably
whatever?
A Raw, maybe?
Yeah, Raw or Superstars or Challenge or whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't. I found it. It doesn't have attendance.
No attendance.
But it's a big arena to do a taping at this time. They're struggling a little bit.
Because Challenge lasts for like another couple of years. I don't think that goes away until Superstars moves out of syndication.
Yeah, they might have moved all the syndication stuff off at the same time.
Challenge ends in 95.
Okay.
What a weird transition.
August of 95.
It's just funny how Ross ends up sweeping everything. They put all their energy into Monday Night Raw, which it's still going on, so obviously it was worth the investment. But they got swept away with that Raw feeling, really, that live taping, which is good. Well, not live taping, but that.
But this happens with every B show that they do. Like, they love the idea of being live and capturing them. Like, and then within like weeks, they move on from it. It's like happens with Shotgun, which we're hoping we're gonna do at some point. They do like 6 weeks of cool stuff in the nightclub, and then it's just taped before Raw in the arena. Like, it happens with everything that they do with all these main event,
Heat,
Superstars. Heat. Well, I think Heat actually has one of the longer runs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Heat's actually kind of like its own thing, even though it's still taped before Raw pretty quickly. But they do some live ones, but then it goes to MTV. Remember, they're live at WWF New York for a while.
Right? Yeah. That's what I was thinking. That's what I felt like. It was live, and they did it always before the pay-per-views, right? That was always the big thing. Like I remember watching.
I think Heat's one of the few that actually kind of kept.
SmackDown was now it's the A show.
Yeah, now, but I mean more of like the weekend type stuff.
Yeah.
They would always start like this.
Shotgun was the disappointing one. I
6 weeks or so in the bars looked awesome, or 8 weeks, whatever there is of it.
And that's what they were going for at that time, right?
Yeah.
That's what they were going for. But that's what they were going for, right? At that 97 feel.
Yeah, well, it was syndicated. It was almost like their answer to ECW because, like, I think some would air at like 1 a.m.
That's Chicago. Yep, Chicago was 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. super late on Fox.
I don't remember if they were all live. There you go. Papoose to go. End of the trail, Todd said. The new name.
Yeah, decent name.
But I think at this time, the corporation felt fresh. Like $1 Million Man was going to bring his...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it at the time back then. I don't think it really hits the wall until when it's obvious that Sid's not going to hit. I think is when it starts to fall apart.
Yeah.
In like mid 95. I don't know. There's a, what if, I don't know if it'll be out by the time this is out, but where something like this is covered, like, what Luger could have potentially been, right? Like, should he have been the one to turn? Would they have been better off?
Yeah.
I think maybe.
After the title loss, after not being able to capture the title, there's I can see that clicking.
Him turning to DiBiase would have made more sense.
Yeah. Well, too, because right now, 94, he's supposed to have this big feud with Perfect, and it just goes nowhere.
Yeah.
And Luger's just aimless. So that I wonder if that's why they threw Tatanka into the feud as well, because Luger had nothing. So interesting to see.
All right, this is the Heart Attack tour. I want to see if I don't know if the Providence show already have. I didn't go. My buddy Jim went. There you go, MSG, October 29th. But this was that tour that had the Brett Anvil main events.
Catholic Youth Center. He shows they go from the Garden to a youth center.
Well, that ended up being a problem in the Attitude Era. It's a pretty infamous show. I think it happens in '98. They do a show there, and like the crowd ends up being crazy. And all they get banned.
Yeah.
Get kicked out. They ran there every year.
Yeah. Who do we got?
Here's your boy, Tim. Some Adam
Is it
Bomb.
Bomb?
action.
Oh.
Dude, you gotta get
Face.
an Adam Bomb football. Those little
Face.
mini footballs.
Oh, I've
You get
wanted
one.
one.
They
I've
got-
looked
they're
online. I was gonna get JP one. They're just too expensive.
They're still floating around. You can get one signed. It's not like you get like a remake one. He sells them now. $25.
I want the authentic original.
It might cost you some prescription pills then.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, here we go. This is right during the strike.
Strike.
So we get the full
MVP.
Yep. Or they lean into these ads. It's
No,
Savage,
no.
right? This is going to be. Oh, they're showing this. When does Savage leave? It's going to be right here, right? The next
No.
week or so?
Does he make some Survivor Series or like right before?
No,
I thought
no,
it
it's
was a
before
week of
Survivor
Survivor Series.
They were making fun of it.
I think it's
because
before that.
Okay.
They're making fun of this because the World Series is supposed to be playing.
No, I know, but they're still showing Savage. But I think
He
because the
doesn't show
Raw is
people
coming up
before.
where Vince gives the farewell.
Yeah.
Well, his last pay-per-view is King of the Ring, right?
No, he's at SummerSlam.
He walks out at SummerSlam and does nothing. He's the host.
All right,
I think his
here's the
music just
Raw.
plays.
It doesn't have the date. November 7th is where Vince says, conspicuous by his absence is Randy Savage, and he's left. Wish him the best. So that's 2 weeks after this.
He banged my daughter. We believe that folklore? Or I want to believe it anyways. I think it's spicy.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
He
really
probably
don't believe
did. I don't know if that's what kept him from ever coming back. I don't know. I feel like Vince has done business with everyone before. Like, is that the line? I know he's mad at Raven for, taking Shane out partying or whatever, but he brought him back.
Who hired Raven? That's a great story.
All right, why is Adam Bottom getting worked here? What's going on? Come on,
I missed this
demolish this
jobber's
guy.
name.
God.
So are these last two squashes reruns?
No, this is all taped
This is
for
all
Action
taped.
Zone. I'm
Yeah.
guessing these first couple tapings, they went full card for this show to make it feel like an exclusive show.
Yep.
And then it must
'Cause
shift pretty quick to the studio.
Because they don't even have the banners. That's how you can kind of tell the switching. Like it's just the WWF banner versus like the Wrestling Challenge banner, where they're just like switching it in between.
Or if it's they want to put on another show, they darken it out.
Darken, yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, they just tape these extras at the Superstars taping or whatever.
Yeah. Throw them at the end or reorganize the things. But I'm struggling.
This
right
guy's
now.
like a very mid-90s jobber. Stringy long hair.
Half mullet, not committed to the mullet. Kind of looks like Landon right now.
rough outfit.
Yeah, that's not a great singlet. So Bomb turned face not too long before this. I think it's like May or June he turns. They have a tag and Kwang blows the mist in his eyes. And they end up fighting. They have a little mini feud, the two of them. And then they never, you guys talk about it endlessly on New Gen, but it's like stays the same all the way till he leaves. Like he literally never has a feud. I mean, he's going to be one of the guys that's there the longest that never has a feud.
Yeah, it's a possible. Yeah. And I think he's going to be in the main event. Well, depends how you decide. Survivor Series, right? The Luger. I don't know if you called it the main event, but the Luger match. Right. He's in that team, but I think he's feuding with nobody. He's just the random guy thrown in there.
He's there for a little over 2 years. I think it's like whatever he showed up July '93 or whatever, July '93.
Yeah, June.
May.
Yeah.
It might even been May when he first did the vignettes, and like he leaves. I think in like June '95. He loses it. In your house one to Mabel.
Mabel. Yep.
House card filler that they don't want to commit to. Fun for the
just
crowd.
give him some. You think at least one feud. Like he has the little thing with Kwang, and that's it.
He can't.
And that weird thing with Bigelow that you guys talked, like where he teamed with Bigelow, and then they kind of fought or whatever.
But that was just Survivor Series, like that. It's just so weird.
Yeah, even give him like Gilbert or something for a feud. Wayne Gill.
There had to be someone they could have stuck him with. Here you go, Razor Yoko on. Is this on Raw?
Next week? What is this?
No, I don't think it's next week. It's on Raw. Yeah, IC title.
Well, there's that.
Where are we at on Todd? Pro?
Oh, love him.
Oh yeah,
I'm pro Todd.
Yeah,
he's a great hype man.
Well, he brings the enthusiasm. I mean, I think that's what is missing from we have like right now in New Gen, Stan Lane and Jim Ross and I like Jim Ross, but at the time he just doesn't bring the excitement like Tom
No.
Pettingill does. Like he wants you to buy that pay-per-view. Like,
Yeah, he was a great pitch man.
yeah. He was a radio guy. I mean, he knew what he's doing. So
I wish he's like guys like I wish they would just bring him back. I know he's done a few things with them, like the In Your House and the
yeah,
thing, but you're telling me they couldn't use him like on TV, like on SmackDown for like interviews or whatever? He'd be great.
oh, they could have used him. The mid 2000s would have been huge.
Mhm.
You know,
Slomka, here's your jobber boy.
I love him. Should have worn my IRS shirt, but the question is which one. You know,
I was just gonna say like 6 of them.
They're already starting the feud with Taker here. Like we're not. I mean, they don't fight till the Rumble. He's already starting to call him out.
Well,
He
hasn't paid his
attacks him at
taxes.
Survivor Series, but it steals the urn.
Not real good quality here on this YouTube feed.
no, it's not. I don't know if it's below
Someone's tape that's sat in a closet. Yeah.
It's below standard def. I think
Yeah, I think it's
definitely probably flood
four-
damaged.
480, 480p, whatever they use.
Well, they actually brought Taker out for this show. So yeah, they definitely loaded this
yeah.
up. So they were like, I'm sure the hype building up was Brett versus Owen, Owen's last title shot, Undertaker at Action. That had to be the
Yeah.
two things they pimped.
Bookend it. Yep. And
Yeah, because
Jimmy
this is
Del Rey.
rare. Rare to have a syndicate. Well, not syndicated, but the weekend shows.
Mhm.
Taker's never on them.
Right.
Like as a match, he's after his like early run in '91. He's never like '92. He's rarely on. Like he just is not. He was a protected guy from the weekend shows.
I'm really really curious what this did for rating, if that was even tracked back then or cared about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure somewhere.
I'm sure the Reserver has it.
I'll say Meltzer probably has it.
Meltzer found. I mean,
But what did it do in the key demo, guys?
I'll get you. I'll get you all the by the. I'll
What's the
get you
key
by
demo
the
for this?
15.
9 to 13.
Tim Slomka. That's a key demo. Was he happy?
9 to 13-year-old. What was a good lead-in? Was Big Bang Theory a lead-in?
I think Sonny hosted Action Zone for a bit too in '96.
I thought it was Livewire. Livewire.
No, well, she definitely does Livewire, but
Yeah,
I feel like
Livewire.
she does Action Zone too. He's back.
Maybe she did it leading to Livewire.
Could have been.
Livewire.
Yeah, Livewire is definitely her. Is it Vince? Vince, right? Again, Shotgun
Vince.
Vince starts, Livewire Vince starts, TNT Vince starts. Like he always begins and then he passes off. But yeah, Livewire, it was him, Sonny, and Vic Venom.
Vic. I was trying to think of Russo's fake name.
Yeah.
Vic Venom.
I think Ross did some of them too, but
You always believe that rumor that of the '97 Royal Rumble, Vic Venom spoiling Bret Hart winning, and then they changed it. Do you believe that?
no.
It's a fun rumor. It just feels like a little much.
I feel like it's the same jobber every match with different gear for this show. They look the same.
This is also the era of the ridiculous size urn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it came back at
It's-
SummerSlam with
it's
the,
so
putting
stupid.
the light.
It's so stupid. Well, that one's okay, but after the fact to still carry it around, it's like
It doesn't
Oh, they're-
last too long though, right? Because IRS steals it, then Kama gets it, and then
Kama gets it the Mania.
yeah,
so
and
last
then he
all the way
burns it.
Mania,
He melts
yeah.
it into the chain.
Melts
So
the
I don't think
chain.
this one lasts too long.
Guys, I gotta admit, I was never an Undertaker guy as a kid. I could give two shits.
I liked him. I liked him as a heel. I remember actually being pretty surprised when they turned him in '92, because I remember they turned him and Earthquake at the same time, and that seemed like two big heels to like go to the face side at like literally within like weeks of each other.
I just always thought it was hokey.
Oh.
Of course, I've come to respect him, and looking back, it's fine. But in his later years, he gets he's awesome. But yeah, for me, it was just never for me.
Did you see him live as a kid?
Like at Raws and stuff? I'm sure. Yeah,
Like
not as like
in the arena live, like so like I saw him in like '91 or '92, whatever, and it was like, oh shit, like it felt,
It's a spectacle.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Like,
saw him in
him and
'95.
I saw him and Sid, and he was a heel and Sid was a face. So I think it was like late '91, and it was like I remember like kids just being like shook in the crowd, like watching him come out.
the music, the aura. I get it, but still.
All right. Yeah, I think once the lights went off, that was like a changing of a big moment for
Yeah.
like the spectacle of being in the arena.
Yeah.
Like I remember '95, like that just being the biggest deal.
Right,
I can't find I found the Action Zone next week's ratings 2.1.
This probably was
So
a little bit more, is my guess.
A little bit more because then they say Mania that same weekend did a 1.9, and that was Mania's all-time high. So
Well, they didn't even
2.1.
advertise the click tag yet. So
Yeah.
you know,
But so
on
that's
the
I mean, it
show.
just shows you a 2.9 or 1.9 is their all-time high for Mania, and the second week of this got 2.1. They must have thought really good off of this, at least the first round.
All right, well, Taker's crushing this guy. Let's do a quick some awards. So the show as a whole out of a 10, not as a pilot, just as a show.
Just as a show, 5.5. 6.
I'll go 6. You got Taker, you had Brett Owen, a couple squashes,
That
it
was
moved
star
along.
power. Yeah.
Oh, and you had Brett accepting the challenge for Backlund, which is a big moment. What do you got, Tim? Out of 10?
Oh, sorry, 6. I'll go 6.
How about as a pilot? I think it's pretty high as a pilot.
6.57. I'll go full 7 on that.
I was leaning toward an 8 as a pilot. I mean, you get Brett Owen, like a 15-minute match for the title. Undertaker, squash, like we just said, you don't see. You got Backlund accepting, like you got Vince in the booth. They came like strong out of the gate. Oh, maybe 7.5. I'll go 7.5.
I'll go 8. It has a live type feel to it too, for different than what it had been. So I think 8's good.
Yeah.
MVP, I'll go Brett.
Yep, Brett, I'm with you there. Well, Jimmy Del Rey, yeah. But I'll go Brett. He was excellent in that match.
Yeah,
LVP,
Brett.
I'm gonna go the guy Adam Bomb beat. The guy like schlub.
I'll go Adam Bomb.
Yeah, he didn't have a great showing. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, Adam Bomb for me too.
Okay. Best segment or match? I mean, it's Brett Owen, obviously. And then what's the most October 94 part of this show?
Jimmy Del Rey.
I'm going to go Charlie Min.
Yeah,
Since
Charlie
I think
Min.
it's literally the only time he's ever around.
Yeah, this is his one and done.
What was the hype man's name? I'll go him, actually. I'm gonna
Charlie
take
Min.
him.
Yeah,
Charlie Min.
Oh, there you go. Boom. So forgettable.
Yes.
All right. So they're wrapping up. So we're going to wrap up. Be sure to check out everything we have here at the North South Connection. Subscribe on the YouTube channel if you haven't yet. You can leave us a like and a comment. We appreciate you checking us out. We're here, Ryan, every 2 to 3 weeks or so on the adventure. Whenever we feel like popping one out, we'll do it. We're going to continue through the season. Our goal is to do 10 episodes of premieres, and then we'll switch to something else eventually. So every other Tuesday, check out New Gen on a Mission with Tim and Justin Pratt. That's on any audio podcast application. Search North South Connection. Follow us on social media as well. As Charlie Min wraps us up, we're going to go ahead and close things out. Here we go. Now they're hyping it. So next Sunday, Razor Ramon and 123 Kid versus Shawn Michaels and Diesel.
I'm probably gonna watch that as I go to sleep tonight, honestly. But
I like Charlie Min in the ring with Undertaker, like behind
Yeah.
him, hyping the freaking show.
Number one hype man. Number one hype man.
All right, Charlie Min out. We're out. We'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.
See ya.